Alrighty, so this was a really intense, hard-fought game. Unfortunately, we ended up with a loss against the Cleveland Cavaliers, which was a really tough team to beat. So pretty much like throughout the whole entire game, we were literally fighting. Like we didn't have Marcus Morris and Reggie Jackson, which is that's one thing that I like to see because like I would love to see the young players get utilized. Like that's what Tyronn Lue should have honestly done like throughout the whole entire season, like since the beginning of the year, because we had a lot of really good young talents, especially guys like Brandon Boston Jr. and Jay Scrubb. But like yeah, especially like I felt like Paul George could have been rested more often. Reggie Jackson and Marcus Morris could have took some, you know, more of like less of the load and gave some opportunities for players like Brandon Boston Jr. and not just Amir Coffey, and especially Jay Scrubb should have definitely got the opportunity to get some minutes because like real ones know how good he is. But anyways, like we pretty much like was fighting throughout the whole entire game. Like unfortunately, during like overtime, we just couldn't we literally couldn't really buy a bucket, which is that was a huge Achilles heels, and we could not like hit our free throws, especially Amir Coffey. He missed one of the free throws, which would have definitely made us win the game. But I'll try to make this video like not as long as possible, just try to make it short as possible. So I'm gonna just go player by player. So first of all, we got Terrence Mann, who was like he had lots of growing pains in his game, but then like he later stepped up and made some solid buckets. He had like 7 for 21, which is it was not the best, but he brought grit and energy, especially on the defensive end, and he got a lot of rebounds. Like I believe he got like at least 7 rebounds, which is that is really good for a guy like Terrence Mann. Like you don't really see guys like Terrence Mann's size get as much rebounds, but Terrence Mann like he was like sliding it throughout the whole game, and plus he played a lot of minutes. Like first of all, like this like they got like Terrence Mann, um, Amir Coffey, and who else? I forgot. But basically, I got like what 40 minutes, which is ooh, that is a lot of minutes. Even Luke Kennard got a lot of minutes. Like ooh, but yeah, like that's how like rough it was. But anyways, basically, like Terrence Mann, he basically was fighting like through the whole entire game, which is we would love to see Terrence Mann do that. And then next player. So, but before, sorry about that. Shout out to Terrence Mann for bringing all that nice, lovely energy. And next player, Amir Coffey, who I thought like did pretty good. Of course, he had a lot of growing pains. I know a lot of people would be slandering Amir Coffey right now. Like the old me, like probably last year, I probably would have, but now, like Amir Coffey essentially like throughout whole entire game except for overtime, he played pretty good. Like I now since Reggie Jackson was out, Amir Coffey took a lot of the point guard role, and I love to see that because when Amir Coffey actually runs the point, like what I notice about Amir Coffey, however, is he does ISO like a lot more often, but nevertheless, he still like brings a lot of really good ball movement. I know like his handles aren't the best, like but it's not like the worst or anything. And he's not really that turnover prone, so that's a pretty good part about Amir Coffey. And he's like one of those players that really like knows their role and all that. So, but yeah, this was like a true test of Amir Coffey running point guard, and let's just say it went pretty good because like usually like what he brings is he brings a lot of really nice, beautiful ball movement. And one of the plays that I really liked about Amir Coffey is when he would almost like laid that up, but he didn't swing that to Terrence Mann, and Terrence Mann, unfortunately, he missed wide open threes. But like Amir Coffey playmaking is just really good. Like it creates a really beautiful flow. which is that is like pretty nice. And but unfortunately, he missed a free throw, and he made one, which is tied as the game. But then he missed one, which was 90-90. And Amir Coffey, then he tried to hit the game-winning shot, but then Caris LeVert, I felt like should have been called a foul on him because he's like, I know he's being a little bit biased, but come on, he stepped really close to Amir Coffey, which is kind of like a Zaza in a way. Obviously, we know LeVert doesn't mean to do that, but Amir Coffey, like, I believe he should have went to the free throw line, and I believe we should have won the game. But it was definitely a winnable game in general. But it would have been so beautiful though if Amir Coffey just switched that shot. That would have been so wild, so wild. And then we got Nick Batum, like who didn't really do I don't know how to perfectly describe it, but he did hit some really moment moment. Uh, Dang it! It's one of those moments that I don't know how to say a word. Like he hit like a really timely shot that put us like really close in the game. Like he didn't really do too much on the stat sheet, but he just does another like typical Nick Batum stuff. But essentially, like overtime, that's when we literally couldn't buy a bucket. But I thought Batum did fairly good on defense. Like offense, like he was not the Batum battalion. He didn't unleash that yet, but hopefully he will. But the big plus about Batum is his versatility on defense, and he did get some really important blocks, especially on Evan Mobley, and that's just pretty nice. Like what Nick Batum could be doing, what Nick Batum is doing. Like I just love the versatility that he brings to the game. And then we got Luke Kennard, who shot the ball pretty well. But this time it was pretty unique because he only made 1 3, but he shot pretty good, like in more of the mid-range areas and more of the layups area. So I felt like he should have been fed more to shoot the threes like during crunch time because that would definitely helped a lot. Like that could have potentially helped the Clippers like ultimately win the game. And then we got Ivica Zubac, who did pretty good. Went 10 for 15. Played like fairly solid defense. Yeah, his hand was like a little bit on the weaker side of the spectrum this game, especially when Larry Markin just grabbed the ball out of Zubac's hand. But I believe Zubac, he fairly held his own considering he faced against Evan Mobley, which is a legit big man. And a lot of people say Zubac cannot play good against a legit big, but I guess this is one of the games that, Zubac definitely showed out, and that is what we love to see. Like, here, actually, I'll try to show you some Zubac's clip. So, this is like, when first, Evan Mobley, like stuffed Zubac, unfortunately. Just boom. And then Evan Mobley, like, show his intense athleticism. Like, by the way, like, in terms of the film part, like I'm not really planning to do this in a lot of my videos. Like, I guess this is just I'll only be doing it like when I have a lot of time, and for some reason, like today, I meant to have a good amount of time to find some clips, but don't be expecting this like too often unless like if I'm doing like a little bit of a scouting video and all of that. But like usually like post games takes like this, I most likely would not be like including clips, but this is just one of the few moments that I'll be doing it just because um well, why not, since I just mentioned half the time. But yeah, this was one of the Evan Mobley just block on Zubac. But next one is going to be like kind of like a Zubac highlight and what he's been essentially doing the whole game. I know this was pretty disorganized and all that, so my apologies on it. So Oh, this was a Brandon Boston. My fault. Wait, did I? Okay, yes, this is the Zubac one. Sorry, my bad. Um, so boom. That's what Zubac did. That's what he's been doing a lot of games, which is that's what we love to see. Like this Evan Mobley who plays really good defense. Boom. Zubac just hit like hook shots like these. Like this is what we love to see. Like boom, 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 boom. That was a pretty smooth hook, and that's what Zubac essentially did. Like throughout the whole entire game. Like, and that's what we love. We need to see from Ivica Zubac. And hey, if he can do it every single game, which is he is starting to do every single game, but get efficient if you know what I mean. If he gets efficient like that, then we'll pretty much be in good hands. But now let's go to the bench. So Isaiah Hartenstein did fairly solid. Got some buckets, just doing typical Hartenstein stuff. And some players like Semi Ojeleye, yo, shout out to Semi Ojeleye, because man, like initially when we traded Serge Ibaka, like, and it still stings to this day, but I'm not gonna lie, Semi Ojeleye, like, he shows some promise. Like, he's honestly kind of like a PJ Tucker, to be honest, because he's like what 6'6". He's rock solid. He's shown capabilities of spacing the floor, and he actually plays pretty solid defense because he's like a really strong body. He's like kind of like he's definitely like a PJ Tucker, or he's like a Draymond minus the really good IQ, but a really good rock solid power forward to have for the Clippers. And who knows, like maybe the Clippers could keep him for a little while, because like we don't have too many forward depths. Like we have Nick Batum and Marcus Morris, who's up in age, and Semi Ojo, he's 26. So yeah, who knows? We could definitely keep a Semi Ojo from down the line, because like he's shown a lot of capabilities, like especially on the mobility side, and having a big man that has mobility is just really great to see. Like he even showed capabilities that he could kind of like handle the ball a little bit, like for his size. Like he took it all the way to the court, which is I never knew Semi Ojeleye could do that. Which is, I mean, I seen Ojeleye play with the Celtics. He was pretty solid and all, but hey, he's showing some solid stuff with us. So like that's really good. So like if anything, this game definitely unlocked a lot of the hidden, like the talent for all of our players. So like it was a loss, but in the morale, it was a victory. And Rodney Hood, he didn't really do too much. He did pretty solid, I guess. Played pretty solid defense. I think he may have hit some shots, but um, fairly solid, fairly solid. But now let's get to Brandon Boston Jr. Brandon Boston Jr. finally got some minutes, like after Reggie Jackson and Marcus Morris are out. So when he was in there, man, he was lighting everybody up. He was making a lot of tops of buckets, man. Like especially with his midi and with that one beautiful three on Evan Mobley. And he shows a lot of really good signs of playmaking. Like for his size to be playmaking, that is really good. Like my new nickname for Brandon Boston Jr. is Noah Crossover. I know it sounds a little corny, but hear me out. He's from Norcross, Georgia, and he could cross people over. So Noah Crossover or Knife Crossover, which one? I don't know. But anyways, like Brandon Boston Jr. Like I'm still really disappointed about the way how Tyronn Lue utilized Brandon Boston Jr. because it was still way too little. Like come on, like Morris and Reggie Jackson outright. You got Terrence Mann playing 40 minutes, Luke Kennard playing 40 minutes, Amir Coffey playing 40 minutes, and Brandon Boston Jr. only got 21 minutes. Like, that is still way too low, especially a game like this. Like, you definitely needed someone to bring that juice. And, like especially overtime. Here, I'm gonna show you like an actual clip about my boy Brandon Boston Jr. Just check this out. Look at that. Ooh, ooh, bam! Like this is what Tyronn Lue like most definitely should have tried doing. Like especially like the last minutes, we couldn't really buy a bucket, and literally overtime. Brandon Boston Jr. most definitely should have got minutes during overtime for just to bring that beautiful juice. Like, look at him. Like, ooh, this is on Evan Mobley too, a really good defender. Ooh, and bam, 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 and I'm still struggling to understand why he's not really, getting the minutes. Like, because one, if you actually give Brandon Boston Jr. like minutes, he gets developed better, and it gives rest to our main players. So it's pretty much a win-win. Like honestly, the way how Brandon Boston Jr. was utilized in this game, he should have been honestly utilized in every single game. And in this game, Brandon Boston Jr. should have honestly like played like 30 minutes at least because like we definitely couldn't buy a bucket. And Brandon, he was just that guy to get us the buckets. Like he could do it all around the game in general. But yeah, like I know for a fact, like look, I think it's just me, but I know for a fact that if Brandon Boston Jr. just got like at least 30 minutes and he played in overtime, I believe we would have won the game. Like I know when he checked back in, like after like the nice lightning hot first half, he had like 11 points. He didn't score anything, but that's just due to the fact that he didn't really get the ball too often. Like I feel like just feed Brandon Boston Jr. the ball more often, just have him take way more shots, and definitely would have sparked the energy. Like especially a really talented player like Brandon Boston Jr. is. Like honestly, like I wouldn't trade Brandon Boston Jr. no matter what. Even if it's for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Like yes, you could call me a bad GM. I couldn't care less. I would not trade Brandon Boston Jr. even for Giannis Antetokounmpo because Brandon Boston Jr. is just that good because he can literally do like everything essentially. Like especially his passing is incredibly underrated. Like he could throw like legit bullets. Like believe it or not, Brandon Boston Jr. he even played point guard like back in middle school, so that definitely helped him a lot. But yeah, especially on defense too. He caught like I believe he got like a nice steal as well too. Like he would always like get a steal like when he plays like almost every game. Like almost every game he plays, like every game, like he would like most like he would usually get a steal, which is that's how good of a player Brandon Boston is. But this isn't like not necessarily a big shade to Tyronn Lue, but Tyronn Lue has been doing pretty good in terms of coaching, although he has some flaws in terms of the rotation and all of that. But um, considering that what we have, like we almost beat the Cavs teams, like gotta hand it to everybody, especially Tyronn Lue as well too. And it was a homecoming for him, but I didn't even get to I didn't even get to talk about the Cavs player yet because I spent so much time talking. But all right, now let's get to the Cavs player. So Evan Mobley, big shouts to him. He played tremendous defense. Um, he was getting, he was swishing threes as well too. He had 30 points, which is that's a big plus. He was just doing everything. Like he is being your ideal versatile big. And then Darius Garland, he struggled in the first half because Terrence Mann was playing pretty good defense. And then second half, that's when he started clutching up. That's when he started, hitting all tops of threes and all that. So shout out to Darius Garland. Definitely a rising star from the Cavs. Isaac Okoro, thought he was also a pretty good, uh, great 3-and-D player for a team like the Cavs. He definitely took a lot of charge. I believe he like by third or fourth quarter, the commentator said he took like 7 charges, which is that's a good ultimate hustle player to have. Um, Brandon, I forgot his name is. I forgot his name. Moreland Morrison or something like that. Their backup two-way point guard. He actually had some really good hustle plays, especially on that defense on the Brandon Boston Jr. He got that one block against him, so shout out to him. Brandon, I forgot his last name, respectfully. Larry Markkinen, he hit some pretty timely threes. Essentially, who else? Kevin Love, he also was fairly solid for the Cavs. He even he still showed that he kind of got it. Like he definitely has that shot. Like especially he definitely made some nice threes at times. And then, but yeah, that's essentially throughout the whole entire game and how the Cavs did throughout in general. Also, Caris LeVert, the new acquisition, solid for them. Like the Cavs could get a bucket getter like LeVert. He even played so-called good defense on Amir Coffey, even though it looks like he definitely didn't give room for Amir Coffey to land, but he was a pretty good pickup for um, the Cavs. And I believe that's all what I can honestly say about the Cavs team. But one thing about the Cavs is pretty good is they're really well rounded. Like you got when everyone's healthy, you got Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, that's a legit twin tower. And I got them as a dark horse to come out from the East. Like I know I knew when they traded for Caris LeVert, I kind of made a little video about that. I kind of clickbaited in a way saying that the Cavs will go to the finals, which is hey, if they do though, that'd be so nice. I could definitely that that video would be getting a lot of views. But anyways, it was a really good game in general. Unfortunately, the Clippers lost, but it was a really good high morale game. So just let me know what you think about this video. Just let me know what you think about the game in general, and be sure to leave a like and comment, subscribe, and I'll definitely get with y'all in the comment section if I could. So as y'all know, Clip Nation all the way.